I mean, it's still, he said it's still 2 years away. I mean, he didn't, I mean, this is only the, God, maybe fourth or fifth time that I've heard about it. I don't think there's much known. I mean, you've got to get the TV deal first before you decide what you're going to do with it. You know what I mean? As far as content is concerned. But I'm sure he would contact people, wrestling. A lot of original WWE content, like you said, WWE films, things like that. But we don't know much about it. You know,
when you pay for the rights of Star Trek and you fill the gaps with that, and I don't know.
Well, all we know that he's working on a cable TV network. I mean, there's nothing we can't really elaborate on.
I mean, I want to say that it'll never happen, but it very well could. I mean, he's a mogul. I mean, he's got the money, he's got the back. I mean, if he really went at it, he could make it happen, I would think. I mean, it's not that hard to get a cable channel these days, you know.
Bound for Glory pay-per-view poster. Sting is featured on it. Looks like this is going to be his last date with the company at the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view. We have the photo up on TNAWrestlingNews.com. Cheap plug there. We've been talking for months now that
that's pretty much known.
That this pay-per-view. They were TNA's street team was down at SummerSlam in Los Angeles, handing out Sting masks and a poster. The
Bound for Glory flyers, yeah.
Yeah, flyers, which basically confirmed that Sting was going to retire. That was going to be his last date with the company. So we'll see where that goes. But it appears that Sting is going to be done with TNA after that pay-per-view. What else we got for news, Boone?
Big Show versus Shaq. Supposedly Big Show was on an ESPN radio interview and said something like they might not be able to put that together anymore. The Cleveland Cavaliers don't want to clear Shaq in time, in the amount of time that they would need to do it, like as far as they need to do it within the next few weeks or whatever before NBA and then things like that. And I guess that it was supposed to be a 3-hour Raw special. I think it was going to be in either Detroit or the Cleveland Raw. I forget which. So it was going to be within the next few weeks here, but I guess that the plans for that are scrapped. I don't know.
Well, there was talk. We put something up on the website today where Lillian Garcia was rumored that she may play a role with a guest host here in the coming weeks where she would announce her replacement as ring announcer. It would make sense, you know what I mean, to do a storyline based around that. But she's not a celebrity, you know what I mean?
Well, what does that have to do with Big Show and Shaq? Are you just transitioning to another story now?
No.
What's that?
You brought it up. You brought up a Raw guest host. You brought up the Raw guest host that it could possibly be somebody. Shaq.
Oh, I said Big Show and Shaq, that special. Remember, they were talking about doing a match on Raw instead of a pay-per-view. Big Show versus Shaq as a special 3-hour live Raw or something, right? So I think they're not doing that anymore. I don't know. That has nothing to do with hosts. But next week, that's another topic we should talk about. They didn't announce a host for next week. Is that the Lillian thing, or is that not next week?
It's going to be within the next few weeks. She's expected to leave.
Where are they next week? They're in Detroit next week, or are they in?
I think it's Detroit, dude. I had heard that it was, I thought it was Cleveland at first. But
I think Cleveland's the next week after. I think it's Detroit next week.
Right, Cleveland's
31st.
Definitely coming up here in the next weeks, without a doubt.
So, but I mean, people thought it was LeBron James next week, but I think it's Detroit next week. So it would make more sense because Cleveland's the following week, the first Raw in September. So it would probably be LeBron hosting that, which means next week they might not even have it finalized yet because they didn't announce anything. And I don't know, Detroit, what celebrities come out to mind? Kid Rock, does he have a new CD? I don't know. Who the hell could it be?
Well, they're trying to talk with LeBron James. I mean, we know that, you know what I mean?
But he's from Cleveland with the Cavaliers, right? So, I mean, it would just make sense to do it the following week when they're in Cleveland.
You've got NBA preseason coming up as well here in the next few months. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, the Shaq Big Show match with the Cavs throwing a fit, you know, saying that they don't want him in the ring. Similar to who was it at WrestleMania? Floyd Mayweather. They were worried about him at WrestleMania going in and getting injured. You know what I mean? So same basic deal.
That was right before his fight with De La Hoya, which turned out to be the biggest fight in history of boxing or history of pay-per-view in general. So that was a big risk, yeah. And this year, I mean, it's a big risk for Shaq because this is the first time him and LeBron are going to team up. So, you know, it's the new big Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Shaq Kobe kind of duo right now. So
it is.
Risky.
Cleveland, baby. Cleveland next year, man.
They're a player, man.
Excellent LeBron, no doubt. All right, that does it for wrestling news. We're running real late here. Let's talk about UFC. get this UFC news out of the way. UFC 102 coming up this Saturday night. What do you got, man?
I don't know. Like I said, it's just pretty much a one-fight show. It's Randy Couture versus Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I mean, this is somewhat of a dream fight because for the longest time, Nogueira was the champion in Pride, the heavyweight champion, for like 3-4 year run. And all the while, he was the champion. The only real champion in UFC was Randy Couture. I mean, you had guys like Frank Mir win it and then lose it or have to drop it because of injury. Tim Sylvia was kind of a champion for a minute there. You know, but it was really Randy Couture and Nogueira were the top two guys in opposing companies, kind of like Goldberg and Austin of MMA. So, I mean, it was always talked about who would win, and now the guys have had a couple losses. They're no longer champions. They're older. Randy Couture is like, God, he's 46 now, but he's the guy that when you count him out, he still pulls it off. And Nogueira is the same way. He's the guy that in the fight, when he's getting his ass whooped, you think, well, he's getting his ass whooped, but he always finds a way to win. He's done it with Mirko Krokop and Tim Sylvia and a lot of people. So it's a very intriguing fight. It's a very important fight because after Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin, there really is nobody left at heavyweight for Brock Lesnar. I think the winner of this fight would probably be the leading candidate to fight him, especially if Couture wins, because it would be a bigger business fight. But I think as far as who has a better chance of beating Lesnar, I think Nogueira has the style to beat Lesnar if he's
what about
not shot.
Cain Velasquez?
Cain Velasquez is kind of a new guy. I mean, he's only had, I want to say 8 fights, maybe 9, something like that. So he's undefeated, but he's only had a few fights, and he didn't look too good in his last fight against Czech Congo. Anytime he was standing up with Czech, if he got hit, he almost got knocked out. He would get rocked and dizzy and dropped. But anytime he'd get him on the ground, he'd control him and just ground and pound. So I don't think he's going to be able to get Lesnar down the ground and pound. So he's going to have to stand with him. And Brock has shown in the Randy Couture fight and in the Heath Herring fight, he can knock your block off standing up. Just
if Couture beats Carwin, let's just say Couture beats Carwin.
No, there is no Couture Carwin. There's Brock Lesnar versus Carwin and Couture and Nogueira.
Oh, that's right. You're right. So Couture wouldn't. I mean, basically where I'm going is Couture and Lesnar wouldn't fight again, would they?
I think they would. I think just because it's the biggest fight you can make in the heavyweight division right now without Fedor, I'd say business-wise, it's the last chance Randy's going to have at 46. You know, to really be an important. I mean, this is the first time, you got to think, this is a 3-round fight, Nogueira and Couture. This is the first time in years Couture has been in a non-title 3-round fight. I mean, I actually watched the UFC 102 countdown. It comes out on Thursday, but I got an advanced copy of it. And they note in the countdown that I think Couture's only had 2 non-title fights in UFC history, but he's fought like 17 times in UFC. So like 15 of the 17 and were title fights, 5 rounds. This is a 3-round fight, so I mean it's a different way to look at Randy Couture now. He's usually real strong in the 4th and 5th rounds, so I don't know. He's going to really have to be impressive 3 solid rounds in a row. And Nogueira, people think he's shot because of that Frank Mir fight, but he had a staph infection. He had a leg injury. There was a lot of reasons he could have looked bad in that fight. I don't think he's done. I think Randy Couture is the favorite, and the rule is you never bet on Randy Couture when he's the underdog. You never bet against Randy Couture when he's the underdog, but he's not the underdog this time. He's the favorite, and I think people are overlooking Nogueira, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and make it official and say I'm picking Nogueira as an upset victory in that fight.
I think I'm gonna go with you, man. I was just gonna say the same thing, man. Nogueira over Couture. It's
but
close.
He's a great submission guy, and Randy Couture, a lot of his losses by Enson Inoue and Valentine Overeem, these are guys that beat him. They beat him by submission, so you know. Right. No, it should be a good fight, no doubt. What's the undercard? I mean, I know the main event. I don't even know what the second fight from the undercard is. You know, it's Keith Jardine versus Thiago Silva. So it's not a very.
That's not bad though. Keith Jardine's coming off. Keith Jardine's, I mean, fluke win. Well, maybe not fluke wins, but he beat Chuck Liddell.
He knocked out Forrest Griffin. He knocked down and beat Chuck Liddell. But he's coming off a loss to Rampage. That was his last fight. But it was a very close fight. And Thiago Silva's coming off the loss to Lyoto Machida, which we saw in Vegas. Before that, he was undefeated. So he's only lost once. So it's a legitimate fight. It's just not. Neither guy is really a star, and neither guy. I guess Keith Jardine's exciting, but he's very awkward the way he fights. He's a weird way of fighting. He's just got a weird style. But Thiago, they're both pretty much strikers, so it could be an exciting fight. I'm picking Jardine in this one.
I'm going to pick Jardine. I mean, would it be considered an upset or no?
The odds are moving around a lot in that fight. I mean, Jardine's a slight favorite in some odds. Some odds have Silva a favorite, but most odds have Jardine a very slight favorite. So
yeah, I'll pick Jardine just because he's on a roll as of late. You know what I mean?
The other real big fight, I guess this should be the semi-main event. It's Nate Marquardt versus Damian Maia. And that's pretty much a number one contender fight for Anderson Silva. The winner should get the winner between Dan Henderson and Anderson Silva. Nate Marquardt was supposed to get the next title shot, but when Dan Henderson had that knockout of Bisping, people just said, screw that. You know, people want to see Dan Henderson get the shot. So, I mean, both these guys are the top guys in the division. Damian Maia is probably the best submission fighter in the UFC, and Nate Marquardt's really coming into his own lately, all around. So, I mean, it's an intriguing fight. There is no guaranteed winner, but I'm leaning towards Marquardt on that one.
So it's not the best undercard, but it's got some good fights.
We also got Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben, you know Chris Lieben.
Yeah.
He's on the undercard. Yeah. Brandon Vera, he's fighting Krzysztof Szynski. Gabriel Gonzaga, he's a prelim fight. So, I mean, they've got some people on there, but, you know, it's a one-fight show, basically. Nogueira Couture.
Nogueira Couture, and then Jardine and Silva?
Yeah, Thiago Silva. And also, UFC 103, the prelims are going to be free on Spike TV, they're talking about. The first time they've ever done that. Speaking of UFC 103, we've got an interview with Josh Koscheck. He'll be fighting Frank Trigg, who's returning to the UFC. A lot of people remember him from TNA. It'll be Frank Trigg versus Josh Koscheck. We've got another video exclusive interview with Josh Koscheck over at MMAnews.com. We'll have a lot more for UFC 102 and 103 in the coming weeks, so keep checking us out. Plus, we have the whole new site launching, like I mentioned earlier. So check us out, MMAnews.com. Yeah,
brand new design, guys. I'm telling you guys, when that launches, it's crazy, man. It's off the hook. Going to be one of the top, not that you already aren't, but it's going to be one of the top MMA websites on the net as far as content and all that other stuff. You got your work cut out for you, my man.
Yes, I do.
MMAnews.com. That's about going to do it, man. We've been going for, goddamn, man, almost 3 hours. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. We got ECW coming up, going to air live.
Do we have any spoilers for anybody yet, or have they started?
No, ECW is going to air live tonight because they're in Phoenix. So we're going to get that live show, and then hopefully we'll get some SmackDown spoiler coverage for you up on the website to see what's cracking with Ryan.
Actually, I know we will. I've got a guy there, so I know I will. Yeah. So I'll give him to you too.
All right, no doubt. We'll put them up on the website here, so hopefully you guys won't have to stay up too late to catch those. But ECW is going to air live, like I said, at the top of the hour, 10 Eastern Time. We'll be back here next Tuesday night, 7 to 9 Eastern Time, as we always are. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the chat tonight. We had a huge traffic.
They stuck with us, too, man. They're still in there. It's crazy. 3 hours.
Lots and lots of people for 3 hours.
4 hours if you count the hour before the show with the Kurt Angle interview. There's a lot of people in there for that, too.
I know. It's crazy.
4 hours just sitting around listening to us, man. I mean, come on. That's a Howard Stern show. That's a full radio broadcast, not telecast.
I know. All you guests that are still in there that haven't registered, no matter how many times I plug it, some people just refuse.
Bastards.
Go to bastards. Go to TalkShoe.com, register for next week. You get your username and password, and you'll be all set for next Tuesday night. TalkShoe.com for that. Visit the official website at WZR Radio at WZROnline.com. We will see you guys next Tuesday night, 7 to 9 Eastern Time, right here on WZROnline.com for Matt Boone.
That's me.
This is Ryan Clark.
That's him.
Saying see you next Tuesday night, 7 to 9 Eastern Time. Peace.